Let's go to the AL West. Andrelton Simmons is having a terrific year offensively. We know how great he can be defensively. Now, the Angels are kind of right there in that wild card spot. They have 42 and 40 this year. Do you think Simmons eventually be somebody maybe they look to move if they fall out of the race, or you think it's more likely that he becomes an all-star reserve for the American League this year?
The latter. I don't see why the Angels would trade him. He signed to a very reasonable deal through I believe it's 2020. As is Mike Trout. I mean, this is the window for the Angels to win. They're, as you said, they're just a game out of a wild card spot. They're doing much better than expected without Trout, who I believe won't be back until after the All-Star break. I don't see why they would move into sell mode here if they're that close. I mean, this is a franchise that expects to win. So, I think he's going to be a fixture for a while. And you're right, he is having a very good season with the bat by his standards, and is just a very valuable player.
What are you hearing, Jay, from special general managers around baseball where, like in the American League, every team is still in it? The White Sox are in last place in the wild card race, 7.5 back, which doesn't sound like that bad. Now, granted that everybody's, they've got all these other teams ahead of them, then maybe it's farther back than 7.5 would might indicate here in late June. But how is that going to factor in a month from now at the trade deadline when you have so many teams eligible for the postseason?
Yeah, it's going to tighten the markets up considerably because there are a lot of teams who are going to wait until the last minute to figure out which side of the fence they're on, if they're going to be sellers or buyers. I mean, it's easy to look at a situation where you're saying a game or two below 500 and convince yourself that you're just one winning streak away from being back in this. But, it's not the distance, it's the traffic. And when there's 7 other teams in the same situation, that's harder to navigate. That said, it's rarely a good move for a team, PR wise, to wave the white flag and sell. I mean, the Yankees, I think the reception was unusually positive last year when they chose to do so because I think the results were there when they once they did. They got an incredible haul of prospects. Gleyber Torres, who's just unfortunately had UCL surgery, was in contention to be the top prospect in baseball going into next year, and they've got some other guys that are going to help them. So I can see where if the Royals were to trade Eric Hosmer and Mike Moustakas to Lorenzo Cain, for example, that would be greeted with some dismay in Kansas City. But at the same time, when you're a game below 500, that's a hard thing to justify trying to stay in the race doing that.